Okay, that's happening.
Right, okay to that. Right, welcome everybody to the Haverhill Town Council's Community Events Working Party here on Monday the 8th of July. As usual, this working party has no delegated power or authority, and all decisions must be ratified by the Leisure and Community Committee. Right. Item 2, apologies for absence, please.
Apologies from Councillor Davidson, who's away, and Councillor Lucarini is just joining now.
Right, lovely, thank you. All right, item 3, declarations of interest and requests for dispensations. Anybody? No. Okay, minutes of the previous meeting held on the 15th of April. You should have all had them. First of all, let's, assuming nobody's got any changes they needed done on it, can I have a proposer for those minutes, please? Councillor Hanlon, seconded by anybody? Councillor Page, that's fine. Or Laura, you were just late for that one, sorry. Right, matters arising that are not
all in favour. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm sorry. I'm trying to, because my printer's not working. I haven't printed off the. I have to read my other screen. Sorry. All those in favour, please show. Oh, that's why I keep looking away. So apologise for that. Right, item number 5, matters arising not the agenda. We've got none. As far as I know, we're going to discuss everything anyway during the actual agenda. So we should move on to item number 6, public speaking. Presumably nobody. No. All right, item 7 then. First of all, the community events wash up. The beer festival, which seems a long time ago now. Where do you want to go? Do you want to go, Sarah?
Yeah, well, I did give a bit of an update actually in the Leisure and Community meeting.
You did.
So there's not much really to add upon that. We made about 1,500 quid all in. It was great to have the camera people involved. It was great to have the volunteers because that kept our staff costs down. The only thing I think, if we were to do it again, we might like to consider is whether we do it on the Sunday, because we had very low numbers on that day.
Yeah, I remember the briefing you gave. Just a question on the 1,500. Was that net or gross?
That was gross.
Okay, so it doesn't include any of our costs or anything.
Oh, it does. It includes a nominal amount for bar costs and food costs and staff costs.
Okay. All right. At this stage, is the plan to do it again next year? I know we're not going to make any decisions yet. You can tell the beer drinkers amongst us. I'm assuming you're planning on that basis.
Well, it's down to the council to say, but I think the camera people had fun and they're willing to do it again. So if we did decide to do it again, I'm sure they'd be on board. I'd be surprised if they weren't.
At the same time of the year, April, or would you consider what Tony suggested was an Oktoberfest type thing?
Yeah, we might suffer from competition from bigger beer festivals in October is my only reservation on them.
It's just a thought. I know Tony mentioned it 3 or 4 years ago. Okay. Anyone? Nobody. Sorry, Colin.
Yeah, just on that, supposedly it does depend on the availability of the camera volunteers as well.
Yeah,
which is really useful because obviously a lot of people are asking about the beers and they have that knowledge. So that would be useful to have a date that they could make. Can I just ask, Obviously, I think the first thing is, just for the sake of the minutes, I think we'll just change it. It wasn't gross figure, that was a net figure then.
Oh,
If it
really?
was
Sorry about
included,
that.
Yeah, that's fine.
it includes all the other costs, just for the minutes. The Sunday, we've successively had beer festivals where the Sunday has been very, very low in numbers compared to the Friday night and the Saturday. One thing that would be worth checking in terms of whether we go across a Sunday is how much of our costs are we covering, or whether we're making an out and out loss on a Sunday, because we didn't finish the beer, which means that we bought a lot of beer that if we'd called a halt Saturday night, a lot of those barrels would have been relatively full. So it's whether there's some way we can incentivize the Sunday so that we can maximize our profit taking from the beer barrels, rather than stop on a Saturday night and then actually leave half the product we've paid for in the barrels to pour away. I don't think there were any empty barrels on Monday morning.
I think there were a few, but not many.
Not many.
No, not many.
Sorry, I can see I've triggered some conversation.
Yeah, I
Chairs.
was just wondering if they're going to be saying, did they drink them? But anyway, Councillor Dave Smith first.
Yeah, I think what I do at the rugby club when I do it is they sell like the beer of £1 a pint on the last day or something. So I wonder if that's worth considering.
Yeah, I guess it depends on what you're buying it in for, I guess. Yeah.
Well, £1's better than nothing, isn't it?
Yeah, I have no idea what beer costs. I haven't had beer for 20 years, so I have no idea. Councillor Hanlon, lost you there.
I was going to ask the same thing. That's why I've just put my hand down.
Oh, okay, all right.
It has gone up in price, Chair. I have to say that it is more expensive than it was 20 years ago by some margin.
Okay, all right, okay. And of course, I used to know what it was with no duty, no tax on ships as well, so slightly different. Councillor Miller-Jones.
Yeah, hi. I was going to say the same thing, but I was also just going to ask, so what happened to the beer that didn't get drunk, that didn't get sold on the Sunday? Did it get thrown away? Because if so, then it would definitely obviously be worth selling it for cheap. So I just wanted to clarify actually what we did with that leftover beer.
Well, unfortunately, I mean, from a sustainability point of view, staff were able to save some of it, but the vast majority, unfortunately, was poured away.
Okay, I won't ask how they say.
I'm sure a lot of us would have saved some of it for you if we'd known. But yeah, definitely. I think if that happens again, we should have something in place that if it gets to the last day and there's a certain amount left, we do cut the price rather than have to throw it away, because that's crazy.
Okay. Nobody else got anything on the beer festival? Don't think so. Let's move on quickly then to the science festival.
That seems ages ago as well.
I know, and also, you know, we have had updates at other
did.
council meetings as well.
Yeah. So the Saturday, it was a little bit like today. It was appalling weather on that Saturday. And so we made the decision to relocate everything to the hard standing in the car park, which on a practical level worked well. We got a reasonable amount of people given the horrible weather. And it all went out to schools beforehand, and they were all primed. Some people did say, oh, I thought there was going to be more stalls here, but then those people stayed around for like 2.5 hours. So the level of engagement from the people was quite good. It wasn't that they were flitting in and out, they were staying, they were doing every activity. Nick was very dynamic, maybe a bit too dynamic, if that's, you can read between the lines on that one. So yeah, it would be perhaps good to get him back, but maybe dial down the dynamism, if that makes sense. Colin, did you have anything you wanted to say on that one?
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I understand what Sarah's saying, but in reality, of course, the flip side is that Nick provided. Is Nick Corsten, the guy from the Steamco science, and he provided an energy throughout the day. If you can have somebody on the microphone trying to kind of keep everyone excited, then you couldn't put anyone better than him on. To a certain extent, and those of you who've organised events will appreciate this comment. You want the sort of person who, if anything, you want to try and get the microphone off them, rather than wish they would stop doing nothing and actually speak into the thing. So he was brilliant in that respect. I think one thing from my point of view, the weather was a huge shame, and I appreciate a lot of councillors have heard my comment that I was more concerned that we would be inundated and people would be disappointed. But what Sarah was describing was actually what we facilitated, that families could really get stuck in and do an awful lot, which was great. I think some learning points, the ability to put that sort of event on a hard standing in the car park, I think we'll bank that at that point, because that may well come in handy again, that you can use that sort of area in that way, and that worked well. And the second point was that actually, I for the life of me, I can't work out why I thought putting it down in East Town Park and spreading it out. I love East Town Park, and it was probably being driven by wanting to include East Town Park. That event would have worked absolutely fine on the Market Square.
Or alternatively, in the car park, like we used to do with the
Yeah, absolutely. In the car park behind the Arts Centre.
Before we get on to Councillor Hannon, I was going to say that, even the Meadows car park, if it came to it, if we wanted something that was not hardly used.
It could have been in central.
Yeah, it needs to be in the central town. Yeah, but people would be able to walk to. I mean, people did walk to East Town Park, but equally, if you look around the side roads, there were a lot of cars parked, around. Councillor Hanlon.
Yeah, I agree with Colin as far as Nick is concerned, because I was listening to it on Radio Suffolk, and Radio Suffolk was making him sort of delay things, because they sort of it was their piece they got behind or something, and they was chatting to people before the event, and they was a bit late, and Nick was really, really good in keeping the crowd going while there was a delay on Radio Suffolk. So I completely agree, Colin, that we should not say anything to him. He done really well, and I'm glad that he was enthusiastic like that. He was great.
But he did well the whole week, not just the Saturday, of course.
Yes.
As did the others, of course.
Yeah, that's right, Chair. The schools gave really good feedback. Again, picking up what Sarah said, a couple of schools felt that he got very, very close to the wind at times, but actually overall, it's kind of there's a pent up kind of energy in there, which is I think we're aware of it now. I'm not sure how you control it, but amazing. Absolutely amazing that he's able to do all those things. But yeah, you do have to kind of keep all your fingers crossed to where he's going to go. But yeah, it was good.
Yeah. One thing just to bear in mind, I know we're not going to do it next year, but we're going to do it biennially. One thing I would recommend is we've got this Science Festival website, which redirects to One Haverhill. I think it'd be better that we leave it on the Science Festival website. We don't redirect it. We redirect from the One Haverhill. Lots of reasons for that, but one of them is you get the statistics about how many people actually use the website, where the data that Joseph got was very much, where did that person come from? Did they you know, is it a search engine? Is it something else? But just something for a couple of years' time anyway.
Yeah, happy to be guided by you on that, John.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Nothing else on that. Thank you for that.
Obviously, Chair, for both those events, a huge thanks to Sarah and the team and Gary and everyone who's put together to actually make those events happen. It's we talk around it in these meetings and say, well, let's do this, let's do that. Those are the guys who translate it into real life, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Okay, nothing else on that. Thank you for that. Number 8 there, Knife Angel, receive an update. Sarah, I'm assuming again.
Yes, the Knife Angel. Yeah, not the easiest of projects, as you will know. So I don't know if it's common knowledge, but one of the key fundraisers in the family, Lee Barfield, died recently, unexpectedly, and that was rather tragic. And it sort of made the background to the whole project a bit more wobbly again. That being said, the fundraising efforts are continuing. So I think in total, there's about 4,000 quid raised at the moment. It hasn't all been put into the GoFundMe page because of the admin costs that we'd had to draw the money down. So that's sort of one side of it. In the last week or so, I can't remember exactly when, Colin and I attended a community meeting at Chalkston. We invited a load of community leaders from Haverhill and Suffolk, and we had quite a good turnout. There was, I don't know, 20 people, Colin, something like that. 20 representatives, and they were all very positive. And they came up with loads of ideas in the meeting. Following that meeting, I have created a shared calendar, and I think it's fair to say that a few people have put their money where their mouth is, but not everyone has so far. So it still needs a bit of cajoling and trying to tie people down and get them to commit to doing their own little individual community project, which will add up to a bigger whole. And that, I think, is my update on the Knife Angel.
Okay, one question that I had. You mentioned on the agenda just September. Have we got actual dates yet?
No, that is something that we have to arrange with Luton.
Okay.
So
yeah.
I've been in touch with Luton, but I need to get in touch with them again to get the dates down. We need to sort out a civil engineer and some structural engineers and some transport. So there's an awful lot to do.
Okay. I don't know whether Councillor Brown can help you on that at all. I mean, not personally, but you might know of people. Do you?
Possibly, but I wouldn't like to say yes.
No, that's fine. No, I'm just asking. I'm making the suggestion. If it helps.
I've got a few irons in the fire.
Okay.
Nothing has been tied down yet.
Okay. Councillor Hanlon, then Colin.
Yeah. Thanks, Chair. Yeah. I've noticed that they were fundraising at the Haverhill show, by the way. Just touching on the fundraising, which is good. Thanks, Chair.
Colin?
That's good to hear, Councillor Hannon. Thank you for that. Chair, I wonder whether the working party might just want to ask Sarah to pass on thanks for, the £4,000 is an amazing total, and they obviously haven't stopped yet, given the circumstances in the first place and the unfortunate but peaceful passing of yet another person in the family. Then they're really going through the ringer. So the fact that this is something they're pushing on, I think, is to be congratulated.
Sorry, I was just going to say there is another family complication, but I'm not sure it's appropriate for me to share it, so I won't.
That's
But it's
fine.
just a rocky background.
It is. It is. And you're absolutely right. It's a public meeting. I was just going to say that in terms of the arrival, obviously in terms of the month, I think, Sarah, it's right to say that we've kind of suggested that we would rather that the Knife Angel was moved on the Monday the 2nd than on Sunday the 1st, because whilst the 1st might be the beginning of the month, it's also a Sunday, and therefore both Luton, who I think are the ones before us, and ourselves will be clocking up lots of charges for working on a Sunday, which we might well want to avoid. So it would be good if we can be kind of pragmatic with the dates that are chosen so that we don't end up incurring extra costs, given the fact that people have, in difficult circumstances, have gone out of their way to fundraise. We don't want to spend it on Sunday overtime if we can help it.
Yeah. Okay. Any more questions on that at all? No. Okay. Thank you very much. Right. Let's move on to the first item on item 9, which is the upcoming events. So we'll start with first one, Chalkstone Fun Day.
Chalkstone Fun Day is pretty much in the bag. Jacqueline Lowry does a brilliant job on that, so we're not really taking any credit. We're just supporting around the outside with first aid and bouncy castles and things like that. So yeah, fingers crossed this year that we won't have a repeat of the torrential weather we had last year and it'll all go to plan. Shall I just keep going on?
Yeah, please go.
Councillor Hanlon has his hand
Sorry.
up.
Yeah, so I was going to get the fun days out of the way. Sorry, go on.
It's just on that point, because obviously I'm a ward member for that. What time does it start and what time does it finish, please?
11 till 3, like all our events.
Thank you.
And then the Clements Fun Day. This is a smaller event that takes place in the Clements car park, so there's not as much space to begin with, and it's more of a destination event because we won't really get passing trade as we do at the Chalkstone. We've got some African drumming booked, some birds of prey are coming, there's bouncy castles, face painting, all the Buffy bus, all the normal sort of stuff. Picnic in the park. I think I mentioned this at the last meeting, but that's going to be dinosaur themed. So we've got a T-Rex, some other dinosaurs coming. There's going to be some dinosaur walkabouts and a dinosaur show. And then surrounding that, we have things like the on the spot van, the bouncy castles, craft activities, face painting, etc. Parkway Fun Day, I again tried to get in touch with Father John and the deacon, Hugh maybe his name is, but I haven't heard anything back. So I've suggested to him now that it's too late for this year and that perhaps if he's interested, we can start talking now about next year.
Sorry, Sarah. Chair, can we ask Mayor Smith if it's possible he could have a conversation, because I just wonder whether Sarah's emails are going into junk mail or something. It's slightly strange that we've not heard back at all. Given it's a church, you'd have thought they would have at least responded if they were getting the emails. We need to just check, because otherwise next year we'll be postponing it.
Yeah, I do find that strange that he hasn't responded at all. He's normally pretty good at responding to things. I'm trying to think if he's away this week, but yeah, I'll get in touch with him.
Thank you.
Before you continue, Sarah, there's really more for Joe, actually. I wrote something down here somewhere. Here he goes. I notice on the Town Council website that the parkway is scratched through, if you like. It's got a line through it to say it's not happening anymore. But equally, we got the same thing on for D-Day and Suffolk Day as well. And if you try and click on either of those two, it takes you to a 404 page on the Arts Centre website. Now, I thought we were going to put, because these are town council events and not Arts Centre events, I thought we were going to leave everything on the town council website rather.
Yeah, not sure about that. I did actually spot that last week, but I was away towards the end of last week.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm afraid I don't have an answer for that. I did spot that, but I can't figure out how it's happened or why it's doing that.
Right. So can we just unpublish them?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine. Thank you for that.
Chair, just you'll know this because you know how the thing works. But I came across this issue on a set of minutes, and just for the rest of the meeting, and anyone watching in the minutes, that cross through is generated by a broken link or something. It's not our staff are not crossing through events. It's something that's happening because I think it might be a broken link. Perhaps you can clarify that, Chair.
It may well be, but I don't remember. I do get an email once a week of broken links, and I normally go through and check them. I don't know whether I might have deleted it already because I've already checked it, but so it could be something that's come up very recently and I haven't had the email. But I can run the broken link checker anyway and find out. But you're probably right. I think it's doing that, and it's not just those things. I think there's a couple on the sustainability side as well that were showing as broken. I'll have a check up on that for you. Okay. Sorry, Sarah. Go back to
Haverhill in the Park.
Haverhill in the Park. There you go.
Haverhill in the Park. Yeah, we've got the programme sorted. So there's a Bon Jovi tribute on the Friday night, followed by Robbie Williams on the Saturday. Those are the two headliners. And then there's support from Hollister, Connor Adams, the Joe Keeley Band, Strawberry Lace, and Oscar Coney, plus all the more local groups and the people that we might see at the open mic night, that sort of thing. The vendors have been booked, so there's VG Coffee, Hit Wrap, the Barker's Burgers is going to make a return visit. That's Helen Barker, if you don't know, and the Decker Bar. So all the infrastructure is pretty much the same, Gary, isn't it? Year on year, it's all done through the Purple Book. So there's not much to be changed.
No, we're obviously transferring most of it, the logistical stuff over. I've just been talking to Steve about an hour ago about the logistics and the budget, etc. So we're all on track at this time. Thank you.
Yeah, the posters and the Corex boards have gone out. The social media plan is in place, so everything is pretty much on track.
Okay. Have we got any report from Steve Marsh at all or not?
He sent a report through from, post the last meeting, which I sent through. And since then, he's been working on getting the lineup sorted. He's now got the lineup sorted, so there isn't a report as such. But
okay, are we happy that all the contractors we're using, the suppliers we're using, are what we want in terms of? Are we just going to keep using the same people every year, or are we looking at alternatives? Or
well, I know the security, for example, we're going to use them again because they know what they're dealing with and they've given us a good price. Gary, have you got any?
Yeah, we've got the quotes in from the medical provider and the security people, as well as the refuse collection and so on and so on. I think post 2024, if council wishes that we renew who we go with year on year, it may be worth considering locking down agencies on a certain quote for X amount of years, like we do with the with the Christmas lights, so that we ensure that we get value for money, and we know what the budget is going through the next year. As it's Haverhill in the Park certainly seems to be running every year now, so there's no surprises there. So maybe there's a piece of work to be done at the end of this summer about how we move forward with our contractors. In this forum, though, that's not to say that we're unhappy with any of the providers that are currently engaged with us, the security or the medical providers. Again, I think it's just for us and council to be aware that we're getting value for money and we're happy with what is provided. Like I say, at the time being, I wouldn't be too unhappy with what we're provided with security and medical, but obviously, if anything changes this time, we can review that post August. Thank you.
That's fine. Are we? I mean, it's not. By the way, it's not a done deal that we're going to do this every year. You know, it all depends on attendance, budget, how much we spend. You know, whatever else we have to come up.
My hope certainly would be that it seems to be a date in the calendar that people in the town look forward to. And while I would concur with you that it's not a done deal, I'd say I would like it to be a fixture, and I think a set percentage for the public would be. So hopefully this year we can deliver good numbers, and council can extend going forward. That would be an exciting thing for the town.
Yeah, one note on the programme this year is that it's a little bit more mainstream, particularly for the headliners on Friday night. So hopefully that will have an impact.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it was the suggestion when we did budgets this year that we make this a biennial event as well. So that may come up again. Who knows? Depends on what we come up with after, post August. Okay, I was about to say anyone asking questions, but there's Councillor Dave Smith.
Thank you. I think my understanding was that we was going to do it biannually if we kept it 3 days, but if we do by doing it 2 days, we was going to do it every year. That was my understanding anyway.
As far as I'm concerned, it depends on budgets and everything else. It's a discussion to have, like all the events. You know, we have to look at them all. Colin, sorry.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, Councillor Smith's recollection and yours are both correct. Of course, they're not exclusive. So it will be a matter of what councils want to do year on year. So we'll just have to see how it goes. What has been interesting is that this year, something that we felt was probably an own goal last year in terms of not announcing the headliners. I think there's been some really good use of headliners in terms of some of the social media posts I've seen, which has had kind of some immediate kind of likes and feedback and comments, and lots of I assume, not being into this sort of thing, but when you see the comments are just somebody else's name, like a link, that is somebody passing the message on, kind of sort of sending it on to somebody else. There's been a lot of that. So I think the council's instinct that we should do that, and the marketing department responding in that way has been really positive. And I think we need to continue to build on I'm sure that either Sarah or Joe can advise the meeting in terms of the strategy for building the excitement through, so that people, more and more people start talking about the events.
Yeah, I think there has been some criticism not having the Corex boards out, which obviously I picked up on Friday.
Yeah, to be fair, Chair, I think it's very easy for councillors to criticise, but they only have to look actually at the dates, and the Corex boards are out earlier than they've ever been.
No, it's not me criticising.
It doesn't matter what you talk about. We all kind of edit out the bits we didn't like in previously. We'll all go back to remember, can we remember which summers were washed out? We can all remember the warm ones, etc. And actually, it's just human nature. But as a reassurance, as Sarah has explained in emails, We've listened to what council has said. We're entirely ahead of the game as far as marketing this event is concerned. All I'm saying is that full marks for doing that. Let's keep going.
Yeah. No, I was just mentioning the comments. Obviously, I'm not saying anything about it. You know, I'm a great believer in, it's a bit like events at the arts centre. As soon as you book something in the arts centre, get advertising it. Try and tell people as much as get in their diaries and everything. Okay. Any more questions on the Haverhill in the Park? Obviously, it's our biggest event of the year. Anybody? No. All right. Let me go back to the agenda. Sorry. Right. Halloween Trail next.
Halloween Trail, yeah. I don't know if we've ever done it before, but it's in November this year. Friday the 1st of November, just to keep the consistency going. I've booked in most of the acts already, just so we got the cream of the crop rather than having what's left over. I think we'll do the internal queuing again like we did last year. I've asked for a quote from East Anglia Leisure to build a screen at the start of the trail, because I think that will help add to the mystique and get performers from one point to another without them being seen. And that's it for the Halloween Trail, I think.
Okay. Like, poor Councillor Brown, before I forget, one thing, again, what I was saying about suppliers and stuff is, have we tried going to alternative suppliers of things, local suppliers for things that don't always go to the same people all the time? Give them all a chance.
Do you mean the artistic sort of?
No, not necessarily. No, I'm also talking about the infrastructure.
Yeah. Well, we've got the toilets to book in still, so I haven't done that, so we can look at that. On the artist front, I've used one different agency this year and repeated two. So I'm just trying to get a bit of mix and match, so it's not too samey.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, I wasn't there last year, as you probably remember, so I don't even know what it looked like. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, on the Halloween Trail, I just wondered if we can have a section at the beginning for parents with young toddlers and whatever, youngsters to go through. Because when I went, I think it was last year, we was waiting in the queue and there's a whole mass of teenagers in there swearing, and they weren't very pleasant. And there's a lot of parents with young children, etc. there.
Yeah, we have a bit right at the beginning for really young children, so they can go through and see things, sort of props and stuff like that. But yes, this year what we want to do is make that queuing area a little bit narrower, so therefore it will be easier for the security to police it, because there were some rowdy teenagers. So I think what the mistake we made was that avenue of queuing was too wide, and so you got the teenagers running up and down and pushing in front of the younger kids. So yeah, that is something we're thinking about.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. Cheers.
Did you have any? Sorry, before I come down, just starting to ask questions. I wasn't there. Did you have any problems with people just avoiding the queues altogether and just coming in from all the other directions?
No, but as I said, the teenagers did come in and they ran riot a bit and were just bullying the younger ones.
Right. Sorry, Colin, you'll go.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, the security were quite good at holding the teenagers who barged in the queue, and we said at the time, and Sarah's explaining it, that the fact that having created quite a broad corridor for people to walk down, it also gave the opportunity for people to walk through. I don't know. We don't, obviously things we don't book. If we booked slots, then I guess we could pick up on the fact that there's 7 or 8 tickets, all with different surnames, which would suggest a group of people rather than a family. But I don't know what else we can do, whether we can, in the marketing side of things, to emphasize the first session is for young families and is not suitable for teenagers. Well, you're going to phrase like that, but however, you guys are better at phrasing than me. Somehow, really kind of emphasise the point that those of teenage years, that they're fun, but they wait till later. That's their session. You don't want to come to this session; it won't appeal to you one bit.
There is something we could perhaps do which would appeal to the teenagers, not their altruistic side, because
I haven't got one.
No, if we did say that the last one was scarier than the others, then that might, if we asked it to be scarier from the performer's point of view, then that might encourage the teenagers to come along. But yeah, we can also imply that you'd be a bit of a baby to come along to another one.
I was wondering that whether or not it could be that really, if teenagers feel they can only cope with the baby one, then well, good luck with your reputation the next morning at school. Just on the matter of infrastructure, what would be interesting, Sarah, and I appreciate that it's very easy for me to say this in a meeting when I'm effectively dumping the problem on other people, but it will be interesting to see, because I've said for years and years and years about dividing out using the fences, and I was really excited when we used the Scout site, that we invested in kind of sheets, tarpaulins, whatever, I don't know what you want to call them, that were the right size for our high level fencing.
The Harris
fencing, so that potentially we could use Harris fencing to block off areas, so you couldn't see past. So there were these kind of rooms, people wouldn't be necessarily aware of what was going on afterwards. Clearly, it would be worth taking any quote for hire, and just working out, well, if we bought the stuff instead. Sandra's not on the call, so we don't have to worry about where we store it. But we can kind of just, whether it works out better for us. I'm not talking about EAL, but just across the board, I think we've all known that quite often the 1 year hire cost is actually a surprisingly high percentage of the purchase cost. And you wouldn't have to do the events more than a few years before suddenly you're actually better off having purchased it than having hired it. I know this storage is a serious issue, but it will be interesting to get a price off EAL and then just check around and see whether or not, what does that mean over a 3-year period sort of thing.
Yeah, just one thing, we have got, I think it's about 35, 40 Harris fencing already with tarpaulins, which we obviously use at HIPP as well. So we may already have that infrastructure in place if that was enough.
What colour are they plastic blue tarps?
They're blue, black. I think it's some white ones as well.
Well, they are ours, I think.
They are ours.
Ours.
They are ours, yeah.
I think they're blue, dark blue. Gary, you must know. You've seen them.
I think blue, blues and blacks.
I
I think there are some whites.
We have blue ones, and we have black, and we have white.
Yeah. Councillor Lucrini, you're going to say the same thing? Where are you? Lost you.
That was him speaking.
Oh, was it? Sorry, was it? Sorry. Didn't sound like him. Because you asked Gary, and then his lips never moved. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're a bit of a pain to put up and put down, but and particularly the Harris fencing, of course, to transport it. But it is only just round the corner. We're not talking about a long distance away. Okay. Anything else on Halloween Trail at all? Councillor Lucrini again.
Just one thought on doing the fencing. It's just, if we're going for a quote from someone else, presumably that would include labour as well. That's possibly the one thing that we'll struggle with. Is last year, we weren't quite set up in time. There was a lot of running around beforehand, just to get the last little bits done, and it took a long time to to pack everything away. So I suppose it's making sure we don't add too many complications that, we didn't leave until the early hours, so we're not stood there even longer.
That's because I wasn't there, that's why. Maybe you can read into that what you like. Okay. Lovely. All right, let's move on then to the last two events. Christmas and fireworks. We do the two together.
Yeah.
Anything on that? Have you done anything on that at all?
Well, I've been in touch with the traders, but I haven't heard anything back, the Queen Street ones, to see if we can start talking about Christmas. But that was only last week, so it hasn't been that long. I'm thinking of having a Christmas carnival. So it would go from the High Street down to Queen Street and be like a sort of a mini, I'm saying mini, and I mean mini, Notting Hill carnival type thing with big costumes, Christmassy style costumes and lights and a bit of bells and whistles. That's really as far as I've got on that one. And then the fireworks. Don't know if Gary and Colin have got anything to add about the fireworks.
Oh, Colin.
Not particularly about the fireworks, Sarah, but the only thing I would say in terms of the carnival, when I was town clerk down in the West Country, of course, that kind of thing is hugely traditional. But there are literally dedicated groups spending 12 months, possibly longer, planning and putting on those literally amazing floats and all the rest of it. I think it would be fabulous. It would be absolutely fabulous without a doubt. But the lead time is huge. You definitely have a plan B up your sleeve. You may have a plan B up your sleeve already.
It's to go with, although there will be a bit of preamble workshopping in schools and maybe at the art centre, a lot of it is, my plan is for it to come from a carnival company that already has a load of costumes in stock and a load of performers in stock. So we'd ship them down and try and get children to come along through the school. So it wouldn't be us having to create a shed load of marvellous costumes, because I think that would be impossible.
Before I come to Councillor Jones, one thing, as you're talking to Luton about the Knife Angel, talk to them about their carnival. They have a brilliant carnival over there. It could be that they may have the infrastructure to help you out on that one.
But when I said a mini. Yeah,
no, I'm not talking about their sizing.
Okay.
But I'll just say they may have, say, okay, we've got a load of costumes, or, we got this, we've got that, or, we do this every year. This is what we do, to get some feedback from them. Councillor Jones, Laura?
Yeah, hi. I was just going to say about the fireworks that we had a brief conversation last year about how a couple of times we had fireworks where they were set to music that were very, very good, and a couple of us said that we really liked those, and we were wondering if we could have those again. And I think you had said last year, it's already arranged and it's down to the company. But I just wondered if we've got time, if we could think about maybe asking whoever did that when they did that.
As far as I'm aware, it is set to music every year, isn't it?
Sorry, what I mean is where it was based on the panto, and it was sort of it like told the story of the panto with a song for each kind of bit of the fireworks. So
okay, sorry, so I wasn't there either. Okay, so I don't know.
Yeah, sorry. So it was like, there was this character, and then it would have a particular song and fireworks for each character and for sort of what happened in the story. It was very good.
Okay.
Look at that again.
Councillor Lucrini?
Yeah, the reason we stopped doing the panto was because no one could hear it. you had to literally be standing by the bandstand to be able to hear the story. If you were stood anywhere else on the wreck or along Camps Road, it suddenly become absolute silence. So the fireworks would stop. There'd be nothing at all. You're kind of wondering what's going on. So that's why it was changed to add the music and just make it a lot more kind of fast paced. Otherwise, it yeah becomes almost a bit boring for most people.
Sorry, if I'm allowed to just come back in really quickly. I didn't realize that. Thank you, Aaron. That's useful to know. I wonder if there would be any way around that by having kind of more speakers around, but maybe no one thinks it's worth it. I think it's worth it because I guess I've just happened to be in a good place for them, but I just know how much everybody loved it and kind of raved about how good it was. But obviously I didn't hear from the people who couldn't hear it.
Yeah, so again, it's infrastructure, isn't it? Councillor Dave Smith?
Can you do something about the fog this year?
Fog?
Yeah. Is that something you got control over?
Well, you're the mayor. Can't you go down on your knees and pray or something?
Well, I can try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't there
It
because
was a shame, you know. It just threatened to clear up, and then it just came down again. And once the smoke started, it was very difficult.
Yeah, it's a couple of days before I went in hospital, so I wasn't there. So
It was an unfortunate series of events that created that. So I'd be quite confident without. I wouldn't expect it to happen again this year. So,
but what you've got to sort out is, say to somebody, we don't want a temperature inversion this year, which is what it was, and then you'll be fine.
It was a very, very funny day. I was out there the whole day. At 4 o'clock, the mist rolled in.
Yeah, either that or a few fans, to blow it away. Okay, anything else on the upcoming events? Any comments from anybody at all?
Yeah, it's just on that particular one. I've been watching it since the 80s, fireworks, and I've never, ever, I've seen it foggy on a few occasions, but never, ever like it was last year, ever.
Yeah, I saw the video. I've never seen it in all the 30 odd years I've lived here. Yeah.
So it's just, we was just unlucky, very unlucky.
Yeah.
It sounded good.
All right. I'm going to ask Joseph if he's got anything because he's sat there quietly. But go on, Colin.
Just to say, Chair, that the reason I went on and then came back off having my hand up is that you described it absolutely right. It's down to the atmospherics. The meeting will know that I'm a licensed pyrotechnic who's been firing fireworks since the 1980s. So unlike many of you, I've regularly seen and driven home in really thick fog, knowing full well that I'm partly responsible for causing it. You throw particulates into a damp atmosphere, you get fog. It's one of the reasons why after Taunton that you're not allowed to have fireworks displays close to motorways and stuff like that, because to be honest, it's really interesting what you're all saying. I'm amazed, and I think back. Yes, it's the first time in 10 years or 9 years, I guess. Then it's once we've seen that. That's actually really unusual, and it may be the Haverhill Valley. It may be something to do with that, the topography of the ground. To how you've got away. If really you've not had that for so long, that's amazing. Unfortunately, probably means you're owed quite a few foggy evenings. But yeah, there's nothing you can do about it. If it's that sort of weather, well, you either don't throw the fireworks into the air, which would be silly, or you accept that it's going to get really foggy. I have to say, where I was on the junction of Lawscroft Lane and Swan Lane, it was spectacular because the lights in the cloud, in the fog, was absolutely brilliant. It was just a different sort of display. It looked amazing. But unfortunately, it's just one of those things. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we won't get it again for a while.
I've always been surprised how little fog we do get here, considering we're in the valley and the way the prevailing wind goes and my knowledge of meteorology. But you go to Linton, they regularly have fog along the 1307 there for exactly the same reasons. The water, the hills either side, etc. Joe, have you got anything at all? Because you've sat there very quietly.
No, just to taking it all in.
Okay. All right. I thought I'd give you the opportunity. Right. Okay. Item number 10 then. Any other business? Anybody got any thought? Okay. Catherine, Tony.
Yeah, I just we're talking about community events. Just say I was at the Haverhill show yesterday. What a very well run event. I don't know if this is the forum for us to send our thanks from the town council or wait to a town council meeting, but I say it was a really well run event. Many members of the community were there with different stalls, etc. I know we helped them out, but as I say, pat on the back to everyone that was involved, and don't know if the town council can send their thanks to the Haverhill Show Committee.
We can certainly do that, Chair.
Yeah. It's unfortunate the weather came in as well, didn't it?
Yeah, but we just, everyone just seemed to put their rain max on. A few people went, but then some came out later in the afternoon, and it was just typical British, event really. So everyone just muddled through. So yeah,
I know the kiosk income was down 2/3.
Yeah,
for that very reason, the weather. Okay. Right. Any other business from anybody else at all? No. One thing I did mention at each meeting, and this goes to Sarah again. Sorry, I've lost where you are. There you are on the left. Updates between meetings.
Yeah.
Updates, if you wouldn't mind, please. We need especially as we got these, especially coming up to the big one in August, of course. Right.
Just on that.
I've lost you. There you are, down there.
Sorry, just on that point, Sarah, also, obviously, you've got a group of the willing people here. So if you need any extra people, extra hands, etc., for any of the events, you make sure you ping it out to councillors as well as everybody else so that they have the opportunity to take part.
Yeah, I've already been booked for carrying barriers. Sorry, date of next meeting, number 11, Monday the 14th of October, later this year. Hopefully by then most of the events would have been and gone, would have been early on the downward trail, as it were. And finally, closure at 1959.